You're up.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Monday, July 10th, 2023 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for the fiscal year of 2023, which included a 2-year extension of the option to hold public bodies, to allow public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That action was effective immediately and until the current option for remote meetings, extending the current option for remote meetings through March 21st, 2025. Thank you. We are live and on Zoom today, and I'll call the roll. Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Stady.
I'm present.
Thank you. And Commissioner Shea is present. We have a quorum. I'm going to ask everyone to join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America,
To
to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item of the business today is executive session. Item number 3. It requires a motion and a roll call vote to go into executive session.
Do you want to make the motion, Joe?
Certainly, Commissioner.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to Purpose 3, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Subsection A, Subsection 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares.
I'll second that.
I have
Second.
declared. Motion made and seconded. I'm going to take a roll call vote. Commissioner Stady,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes, and do you so declare, Joe?
and I did so declare, yes. And Commissioner Shea votes yes. We're going to go into executive session. I may remind everyone that we will be returning to complete our agenda. So if we could pause 1 minute to go into executive session, ask.
Good to go.
Okay. I'm going to wait 1 minute before we go back on the record on our regularly scheduled meeting of July 10th. Make sure everyone is back that's interested. Bill, tell from where he's sitting.
You have 18 people.
Everyone's in, sir.
Okay, everyone's back. Good afternoon. We're back on record at our regularly scheduled meeting of July 10th, 2023. This is the Norfolk County Commissioners meeting. We're on item number 4, which is public comment. Director Cronin, have you received any public comment?
I have not.
Is there anyone out in Zoom land that would like to make public comment today?
Mr. Chair, good afternoon to everybody. Hope everyone had a good 4th. This is Bill O'Donnell over at the registry. I just had a question as part of public comment. I saw on your notice, it says transfer of deeds excise funds. And I didn't know if that dealt with the deeds excise funds for fiscal 23. Did it deal with the deeds excise we're bringing down by statute today for the month of July? What does that, I can't tell from the notice that was in the agenda. You haven't gotten anything from the county director or anything like that.
This is the surplus
Go
of
ahead.
deeds excise funds that reside in the deeds excise account.
So to be clear, this is there's been an account that's been there for over 31 years that money's accumulated. Is that what you mean by transfer of deeds excise funds?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you just give me a few minutes, I'm going to head down there. It's an important issue to the registry, and we never got a copy of any vote or anything that detailed that because that money has grown over the years. How much money is in there, Director Cronin?
$3,825,529.22.
Oh, we had it as 4.2 million, but again, that's something, a lot of money. So anyway, if you bear with me, I'm going to head right down, okay?
Come on
Is
on
that
down.
acceptable?
The chair will say that I'm going to do part A before we do part B
Right.
anyway,
I'll
so
be there. Thank
that's
you.
fine. It's an open meeting. Item number 5. Is there any further comment today? I'm sorry, back on number 4. Item number 5, transfer of county funds. We have 2 transfers today, the aforementioned transfer of the deeds excise funds in the amount of 3.825 million. And the first part of this transfer is the transfer of the money, the proceeds from the sale of the Quincy District Court from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. This, as everyone knows, is the culmination of the county selling the district court site to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the purposes of building a new justice center. This property has been in the hands of the registry since 1971, when the Quincy District Court, as it presently exists, was built. It's known as the Bloody Courthouse. I have to say, this has been a very positive exercise. After 4 or 5 years or more of discussions, when the rubber hit the road a few months ago, it has come to fruition. Last week was a week of signing documents, as the week before was. I want to praise everyone involved, because this has been a very positive action on the part of all parties, part of the county, part of our lawyer, part of the assessment process that we got through a public process, and the county team has done a great job, from Director Cronin right down to the everyone that's been involved in this. So I'd like to take care of this first. And again, anything we do here today will be done, stamped further today by actions of our County Advisory Board, which is meeting later today, 5 p.m. But this is a separate from the aforementioned deeds transfer. So commissioners, if you have any comments on the district court transfer, now's the time to bring it up, and we're going to take a motion. Thank you.
I just, it's great to have this process resolved and concluded so quickly and so smoothly. It's a credit to our entire team, and of course, I work with our lawyer, and we end up financially in a good position moving into the next fiscal year. And like I said, we're moving forward, which is great, great job.
Okay. Anyone else wants to comment on the receipt of 10.54 million for the result of the proceeds for the sale of the Quincy District Court? Particular shout out to our legal counsel, Scott Lopez. Again, we're thanking everyone, because this, again, was a great exercise, and for something that had been bantied around, when it came together, and we're very proud and very happy about it, as we mentioned before. So if we have no other discussions, I'd like to take a motion to.
Well, Commissioner, I want to thank you for your kind words, and Commissioner Stady. But John Cronin did a great job in this as well as Nancy Rockwell, Bill Buckley,
Right.
the entire staff. It's just, it went so smoothly because everyone worked so well together.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Okay. We need a motion. We need a motion on this Quincy District Court money.
Sure, I'll make the motion. I make a motion to transfer $10,400,000 to the County Capital Improvement Fund, said funds having been recently wired to the county on behalf of the sale of the Francis X. Bellotti District Court to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Maybe, I think you mean 10 million, maybe.
Yeah, that's
What did I
correct.
say?
You said
10,400,000. Sorry about
I
that.
hope it's a little more, Peter. I hope it's a little more. Add a zero in there. Anyway, I'll second that motion with the understanding it's 10 million. I'll second it wholeheartedly.
10,400,000.
Motion is for the transfer of $10,400,000 from general fund to capital improvement fund. On the motion, Commissioner Stady,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
and Commissioner Shea votes yes. Thank you. It is complete. All in favor. Number B, transfer of deeds excise funds to county general fund.
Chairman, real quick, if I could.
Director Cronin.
May I ask the commissioners on Zoom and if we may use your stamp to endorse this afternoon's transfer forms?
Yes, sir.
That would be fine.
Thank
Yes,
you.
granted. Yes.
Part B of the transfer of county funds. Transfer of deeds excise funds to county general fund. Commission Register O'Donnell. Register O'Donnell is here under the public comment section. Come on up, Register.
Well, I appreciate you speaking. Hello, everybody. Allowing me to speak in public comment. I just, as I said, we never received I saw you just did a vote for the $10 million for the sale of the courthouse, but we didn't get a copy of any vote or anything like that over at the registry. And that's why I asked the question of public comment as to what was being discussed today. So why don't I, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I certainly, based on what you said, it involves a real big,
$3,825,000,
right. And
52922.
and at the beginning of the year, we had it as 4.2 million. Well, I wish we had gotten, at least the courtesy of being told that this was being on. I know, the posted notice says transfer of deeds excise, but as I said in the public session, I didn't know if it involved just this year's deeds excise or the deeds excise that we're bringing by statute July 10th for the close of the books June 30th. As to the deeds excise account, that is is a dedicated account, dedicated registry deeds excise account. And from my perspective, that account has been in existence in the county for well over 31 years. And the monies that have been built up didn't happen overnight. And I think it happened under the leadership of three registers that date back to Barry Hannon and Paul Harold, as well as a number of treasurers, from Dan Raimondi to Bob Hall, to Tim Cahill, to Joe Conley, to Jim Timilty. That account has been a segregated account. And it's been a segregated account because under Chapter 64D, Section 12, deeds excise is collected. By statute, 60% of whatever the share is for the county goes to the county, no more than 60%, and no less than 40% goes to the Registry of Deeds. It's in the statute. That's state law. It disappoints me and I find it, we should, could have at least had the courtesy of the details of what the vote is today. But I wish it was better. I wish there was more openness and transparency in making that decision, or whatever decision gets made. But I see it's a Monday meeting. You don't usually meet on Mondays, and there are a couple other meetings today with the Finance Committee and Advisory Board. My issue on the registry it's a dedicated account. There was even an email from Joe Diorio, who works for the county treasurer's office back in May of 2018, saying that it's a separate account. It's for the registry's use. And my fear is now you just, first of all, overturning over 3 decades of interpretation of state law here at the county and county practice where that money has been set aside. The registry can't access that money unless there's approvals by the county commissioners and the advisory board. And we have used the money. We've used the money to renovate the building. We've used the money to implement modernization initiatives at the registry. And I think when the state legislature established 64D Section 12, it did that so there was a funding source for the registry. So my question through the chair is why are we overturning over 31 years of practice interpreting that state law? Because my fear is it's in a segregated account. It's for registry purposes. Now you're putting the money in the general fund. That could go anywhere, and if there are spending issues or spending problems, I know, the county has to address them. They should address them. But my fear is it's going to get addressed with the money that's been saved up over 31 years through sound management, fiscal discipline, fiscal prudence. And that money is a rainy day fund that really, I think, serves the registry well and serves the registry users well, serves all the property owners well. So, Mr. Chair, through you, if the money's being held at the treasurer's office, why the need to overturn over 31 years of county interpretation of that state law?
I'm sorry, Director Cronin, you
I'll
have
be
a
happy to
question?
address if you need
Well,
some assistance with it.
If you want, no, sure, but I'm gonna be man of few words today, but I have to say, to go over this road every time, it always has a different little curve in it. And I'm committed to bringing it to a head. This may be one way to do it. Director Cronin.
In response to the question by the register, for the reasons that are detailed in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B, subsection H, which requires the county treasurer to transfer the balance of all unspent appropriations to the county's general unappropriated balance fund unless the appropriation was voted for special non-operating purposes. That's why we're doing it. Chapter 35, Section 28B, subsection H.
And I recognize money's not spent in a budget, much like the towns. We got 28 communities. Money's not spent in people's budgets and go back to the county general fund. But in this case, there's another statute, and that's Chapter 64D, Section 12, which outlines that the registry gets a share of deeds excise. And for 31 years, that has been the voted, not only, but that has been the policy. That has been the county's interpretation of the law. And I know much fanfare was given to the calling the Bristol County a benchmark county, and that the commissioners chose Bristol County as a benchmark. Those registries, there are 3 registries down in Bristol County. Those registries have a dedicated registry deeds excise fund that's in the county, their county treasurer's office. They not only get, they keep the money, they segregate the money, and they use it for registry purposes, which the state law says it has to be used for. And they're allowed to accumulate those monies. So there is a statute when monies are unspent, they go back to the, eventually the county general fund through monies not spent. And but this is a little different because there's a state statute that says the registry gets a portion of the deeds excise. And would you at least concede you're changing over 31 years? You said you wanted to bring it to a head, Mr. Chair, but you are bringing to a head or changing over 31 years of a policy.
Hopefully.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Commissioner Stady.
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm not visible. I'm here, Billy, listening in. This was one that you should know I had some concerns about, and I understand there's an ongoing lawsuit, and that subject matter is still ongoing. 64D, as you cited, does say one thing, and then we have, of course, the recent interpretation. The treasurer does have the right, Bill, under the statute, to move money that is unappropriated into the other funds, as Director Cronin has indicated. So once again, we have a conflict of law, so to speak. But I'm persuaded by the fact that the treasurer himself is going to take, probably more or less inclined to take this action. What we're doing, or we're going to do, is put the money, or I think the fund advisory board will put it into a separate segregated account. And that way it would be not touched or utilized, as you're fearful of, until perhaps such time that the lawsuit that you're speaking about, I think, is resolved. I think that's a fair compromise. Apparently, perhaps prior boards, prior committees, prior commissions, I'm not really sure, we're supposed to be taking this action on an annual basis. It was brought to our attention by the treasurer, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to correct the course of action and right the ship. But I recognize the fact that, like you said, this is also a matter of perhaps interpretation, and we'd like the judicial process to play itself out. As Chairman Shea said, we'll hopefully get this resolved sooner rather than later. So I think the money won't be, I don't think you'd be afraid of the money being spent. It's going to be segregated. But I think under the present interpretation, I think we would be consistent to go along with the treasurer's interpretation here.
So, through the chair, so treasurer, the treasurer Bellotti is the one taking this action?
That's my understanding, yes. It's
Okay.
under the statute.
All right,
County treasurer has that authority.
So again, if there was communication and sitting down and talking to things before, I mean, I'm coming over here because I don't know the details of the vote. For me,
Yes.
it's 31 years that there's been a dedicated registry account, and it's in existence in Bristol County, which is our benchmark county, that they have 3 registries, and each of those registries have a dedicated registry deeds account. But to your point of compromise, so, and again, we'll have to have a reconciliation of the money. I know this says 3.8 million. I know during the fiscal year, it was 4.2 million during fiscal 23. Is this money being set aside? Because the money was accumulated for registry purposes. As I said, it's been used to renovate the building, to do the improvements, handicapped access, things like that. But it's also been used for modernization initiatives, it's used in all kinds of things, registry salaries, things of that sort. So yes, a real fear of mine is it's in a separate account that the treasurer has held for years as a fiduciary. Now it goes into where? I'm fearful that the money gets used up and not used up for registry purposes. Are you saying this will be used for registry purposes?
Well, again, we're probably getting ahead of the game here, but I believe it's going to be put into a separate independent account that would just be, like, let's say, frozen for a while. And again, the idea is to get the other matter resolved. Once that matter is resolved, then appropriate action.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, that gives a little
I
comfort.
understand. That's why, well, Billy, that's why I wanted to speak up. I know that. I understand.
Before we get too far afield, I want to comment. Go ahead.
Just to further along Commissioner Stady's answer to the question.
Yes.
The proposed motion would be to move these funds from the deeds excise fund to a general fund restricted account.
Right. Restricted account.
To be used.
It's subject to appropriation like
Right.
any other fund.
See, John, I just saw you kind of shrug your shoulders, and that's my fear is what I heard Commissioner Stady say gave me comfort. While things get resolved or whatever, it stays in an account. It's not, not touched. I would assume, however, I mean, one of the purposes of that was for disaster recovery. If the building burnt down as a fire, as we know, we had one a couple of years ago, that money was set aside, by our number, 4.2 million. That was part of the, disaster recovery planning, business continuities, to have some revenues and resources available, should something disastrous like that happen. So when you shrug your shoulders, John, does that mean theoretically monies could be taken out of this account? Not for, for registry purposes, great, but for any other purposes?
My interpretation of these funds is it's not deeds money. It's not registry money. These are general fund revenues that are available to the county. These are county funds.
see these, but for 31 years, this money has been set aside. It's been from registry deeds excise money by statute, and not the deeds excise that the county gets. I've never said that we have ownership of the county deeds excise. And, just the fiscal year just ended June 30th. In your 60%, you got over 4.6 million. Our 40% got 1.7 million. So, I mean, you certainly get more monies. I would never, as someone representing the registry, this is registry money from registry users. So that's my fear, is that this money was built up from registry deeds excise per chapter 64D, section 12, which in the statute says that the registry, gets no less than 40%, but that's what we get at the county, 40%, and you get the max 60%. So that's my fear. I mean, what Commissioner Stady said gave me comfort that it, until things settle down or get resolved, that money is set aside and not hindered in any way. But what you're saying is it could get, Todd, I get it. If there was an emergency involving registry purposes, I would like to think the money was raised with registry deeds excise. That would be a prudent public policy that we would have to use it if there was a fire or something like that. But in your case, what you just kind of are saying, that it could be used for anything subject to appropriation. So that's my fear, is that the money isn't being set aside and segregated. It's just going to become part of the big wash that gets spent. Is that a realistic concern I should have?
Well, I mean, I'm getting confused myself here, maybe because I'm not in the room and I'm not seeing these motions you're saying. My understanding is that it's going to be put by the treasurer, not the commissioners. The treasurer has the right to do this. Let's make that clear. Under the statute, he has the right to do this, but he's agreed, or has agreed, to put the money into a separate independent account. Now, like any account, if the money gets used or is to be used in some manner, I would imagine that there has to be some kind of a vote at some point by the commissioners and or advisory board, at which time there'd be a hearing, and at which time you or anybody else would be allowed to speak. But my understanding was that it would be put into a frozen account, not to be touched for a while, until perhaps this matter is resolved, litigated out to a extent. We won't want to have the court, looking at us with the optic that we're moving money around when matters still have not been resolved, pretty candidly. So I think that we're both trying to accomplish the same thing. We're trying to comply with the law that says you got to move the money, okay? And at the same time, as your argument has said, it's your money, well, whatever. That money, we have to litigate that matter too. Well, that's where we're going. I don't know why there's confusion. I'm confused here myself now.
Well, for me, it was not confused. It's just a concern when if I heard the director right, it's no, that money could be accessed, and if a vote goes, it could be accessed, and not for registry purposes. I agree. That would be comforting to me if the money was set aside as it is now. This account is set aside in the treasurer's office now, and the registry, if it's registry purposes, has access to it. Great, but what I heard Director Cronin say is, it could be accessed in any way, in this account. And that's a little different than having a set aside. And I agree, have the set aside, I don't agree with, I like the account the way it is because it's over in the treasurer's office now. I don't like it to go to another fund that it could possibly go away through whatever actions that get taken.
Any other comments? And registry, your concern is noted, but it's not going to go away.
What's not
I don't
gonna
think
go
that's a
away? The
good
money?
choice of words, but your concern is noted. That's all. Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay. Number 5 on our agenda, transfer of county funds. B, letter B, we did A. Transfer of deeds, excise funds to county general fund. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Motion in support of the county treasurer to transfer $3,825,529.22 from deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B, subsection H.
Thank you.
That's
Do I have a
not,
second?
that's, no, hold on. Hey, wait, gentlemen, please.
Commissioner Collins.
That's not exactly what we, oh boy, I can't talk about with that. I thought you said I thought it was, but we're supporting, we are in support of the
He said-
county treasurer.
That's what I just read, Richard.
Oh,
Motion
okay, I
in
couldn't hear.
support of the county treasurer
Okay,
to
I'm sorry.
transfer
Okay,
$3,825,529.22 from deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B, subsection H.
okay, good. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Okay, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Stady,
Yes.
and Commissioner Shea is voting yes. This concludes the matter of transfer of county funds for today, item number 5 on the agenda. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Mr. Chair,
Item number
Mr.
6.
Chair, could I get a copy of any written motion? I noticed you had a written motion for the capital.
I will get it
If we
from,
could get it, yeah, any
from the-
written motion, and there was reference to a legal opinion. If it could you forward the
I don't
legal
know about the
opinion?
legal opinion, but I'll certainly send the motion to you.
Okay.
Number 6, emergency items and topics the chair did not reasonably anticipate. I have none, commissioners. A reminder that we are meeting later today, or the advisory board is meeting, and we have a regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do we adjourn or recess? How does that work?
I believe our business for July 10th is done. We recessed. This is a recess meeting. I should have said at the outset, but I believe adjournment is in order. And again, we're meeting Wednesday.
Move we adjourn at, is it 1:59? No, 2:00. 2:00.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We
Aye.
are adjourned. Thank you very much.
I see you guys at 4 o'clock.
Yep, 4:00.
Thank you.
Okay.